The real problem with hunting buffalo is the fact that no two hunts are the same, no two pieces of cover are the same, and one never really knows what happens or what may happen. And it comes down to one very, very simple axiom. Either you're going to die or he's going to die. So you better do your job right.
Hunting around the world. From Alaska to Australia. From the Americas to Africa, Asia, and Europe. Sportsman on Film presents Capstick, Hunting the Cape Buffalo. Botswana lies to the north of South Africa. Well known for its Kalahari Desert and Okavango swamps, Botswana also boasts excellent game populations along the Chobe River at its northern border with the Caprivi Strip of Namibia. In April, at the beginning of the traditional safari season, pans of water are as scattered as the game, and the cover provided by the foliage will make buffalo hunting difficult and exciting. Ken Wilson, of Sportsman on Film, will have the privilege of hunting with Peter Hathaway Capstick, a former professional hunter in several African countries, including Botswana, and the renowned author of several books on hunting dangerous game, starting with Death in the Long Grass.
Now, the Cape buffalo, of course, is one of the classic dangerous game animals in the world. And we've had many accidents right in this area, which have been less than attractive with results. But if you want to really hunt dangerous game the right way and the hard way, to do it at this time of year when there's a lot of leaves and water, and with an animal that is capable of really decorating you, you're in the right place at the right time, my friend.
Gordon Kundle is the managing partner of Hunters Africa, the largest safari operator in Africa.
Firewood gets us nice and close to the river where we can see the...
Gordon will be the chief professional hunter for the safari. Also in camp as a professional hunter is Jeff Rann, one of the few U.S. citizens to hold a PH license.
We had approached these buffalo in dense but lowish cover, and the client had actually made a very fine shot, but buffalo was just taking an inordinately long time dying. So I decided what I'd do is I'd send my driver and tracker back a mile or so to fetch the vehicle. They went upwind from this patch of cover, and about 200 yards from us we heard this buffalo start, and we heard the gun bearers start back towards us. And the one, with the wisdom of experience, turned himself into a piece of grass, and the other one headed straight towards us with the buffalo behind him. And as the buffalo hit him, he fell behind the stem of the tree, and the buffalo hit this tree head on with an absolutely sickening thump. I was convinced there was no more tracker. When we got to the tree, I asked the tracker, "Are you all right?" And he just lay at the bottom of the tree and said to me, "I don't know."
But he was all right.
Well, he had a couple of broken ribs, and very lucky just to have that. He also has a very healthy respect for buffalo.
And how did you stop the buffalo?
Oh, you shoot him. That's the best way to stop him.
Why did you pick this particular area for the game that we're hunting, Peter?
Well, you picked a tough time, Ken. Now, these animals have not been hunted. This is the first safari into this area since last October. This being April, and we've had a lot of heavy rain. These animals are spread out, but you can, because of the heavy foliage, you can get right in among them. should never, in hunting buffalo, let your magazine get empty, unless the thing is grazing on your shoelaces, which it's often highly anxious to do. Find an open spot if you're running through the bush, or unless you have practiced running and loading, and get as many rounds in as you can possibly do to fill that magazine, because you may need them in a big hurry. I've seen buffalo take 19 major caliber nitro express shots in the right place, where their heart was shot to tatters, and not even knocked them down. They're like an express train without a driver. Probably the greatest defensive weapons of the buffalo, which are also his best offensive weapons, are the fact that he puts together a combination of senses that no other animal really does to such an extended degree as to make him as dangerous as he is. He has extraordinary hearing with those big thorn-torn ears of his. He can literally pick you up long before you can hear him moving through the bush. His sense of smell is absolutely extraordinary. I've watched buffalo cross the road as far as a mile away and catch my scent when I was upwind. His sight is certainly as good, if not better, than some of the cats. The worst thing about him is that you can do some very rude things to him with a big bullet in the right place, and he doesn't seem to pay any attention once he's got his adrenaline and other high-speed or high-powered additives rushing through his system. So he is essentially bad news.
In areas of heavy cover, the most productive hunting method is to find fresh buffalo tracks and follow them until the herd is located. That in itself can take hours. But the finding of the herd is only the beginning. Then the herd must be looked over in order to pick out the best bull and to plan a stalk. In heavy cover, this is a physically demanding task because one must stalk through the same foliage that hides the buffalo while keeping out of sight and downwind, and systematically inspect the bulls in a herd that could be spread out over acres and acres. Often solitary old bulls or bulls in bachelor groups have widespread horns, but they also often have heavily worn tips or hooks. A bull with a combination of good spread and hooks might more often be found in a herd, especially during the predominant breeding season of March to May. The bad news is that there are more eyes, ears, and noses to find you, and it will be tough to find a good trophy because you can't make your selection on spread and hooks alone. You should also inspect the drop of the horns and the bosses and pass up immature bulls with soft bosses and mature cows, which may also have good spreads but narrow horns.
I don't think there are any good trophies in there.
No.
It's dark before we get back to the car.
Well, basically, we had to do a lot of circling around.
Well, the wind was very changeable.
Yeah.
So it kept swinging around. We went right round. We've seen principally the back end of the herd. We haven't seen the front end of the herd, which is what we were trying to get to. Jeff saw one
I got a
bull
glimpse of one that could have been pretty good.
and we never saw him again.
Yeah. It's a pretty big bunch. How many do you reckon were in there?
I suppose between 100 and 200. It's very difficult to tell because the cover is very high.
Well, we did everything we possibly could. Wind is right. The sun was good. Just one of those things that herd just happened to keep moving every time we got up to it. And got within, many times we were within 80 yards easy. And what you got to remember is that you got to shoot through this stuff. And unless you've got a clear shot and can really see your trophy animal, a wounded buffalo at this hour of night, the sun going down, a very, very dangerous proposition. Not that a wounded buffalo isn't bad enough news as it is. But I prefer to do my buffalo hunting in the morning, so if something does go wrong, you get a deflection. At least you're going to have some time to sort things out. Kita Mitzi.
Call my dad, pal. I'll get a bigger one tomorrow. You bet.
Now, the average client's dream is a charging 50-inch wide spread buffalo. My dream, that's a wounded one too. My dream is one dead at 100 yards on the first shot. Let's compare peanut butter and beluga molosol caviar. It would be very rare to take a buffalo over 45 inches, but anything over 40 inches across the spread. It's a very fine buffalo indeed.
Now that Capstick and Wilson have their safari feet again, and the professional hunters have satisfied themselves as to their clients' capabilities, the hunting parties will separate in order to cover twice as much ground. Also, with less people on a stalk, there is less of a chance of being detected by a buffalo herd. Rand and Wilson will walk the pans in hopes of finding tracks that are fresh enough to follow. At the same time, Capstick and Kundal will drive the dirt hunting tracks in hopes of running across fresh buffalo tracks. Even though a herd can cover several miles while just feeding, the tracks will probably be followed on foot if they are less than a few hours old and if the wind conditions are right. If the tracks were made the night before, fresher tracks will probably be sought.
But didn't you also tell me that at one time that you killed a blind buffalo?
Well, we didn't really kill him. He just frightened me very badly.
You were indisposed at the time, I believe.
Well, if that's the expression for being behind the bush, yes. He came out of just nowhere and ran into a tree in front of me. It was like being in the presence of a road accident. But clearly he was blind, but he found himself food and water and, that's where he was living.
Is he in good condition?
Oh, not marvelous, but, adequate. And I think he was still fairly formidable to the extent that the lions and the hyenas hadn't taken him on yet.
Oh,
They would.
Yeah, sure.
But, Peter, this wouldn't be the best stuff to chase a buffalo around in.
I've never seen any good stuff for chasing a buffalo.
Unless you had a mowed golf course. No.
Yeah.
Well, currently we've been hunting buffalo, and at this time of year, buffalo live in this. In my right hand here, this is the Combretum mollier. On my left here, the Terminalia sericea. Two of the most common and prolific mixed scrub plants in Botswana. The source of a great deal of food for browsers, elephants would pull them up by the roots and eat them. And of course, protection for a lot of the herd animals, which you can see Peter and I here. A buffalo would be at my hand level. A lion, even lower.
Very, very difficult hunting conditions. And unfortunately, it covers a great deal of the area which has the best
Populations of game. Just
game.
currently, at this time of year.
Mm-hmm. We're out here in another big floodplain. Been having some fun photographing a jackal. But it's very interesting. There's a lot of little tricks in African hunting that also apply to North American hunting. And you can often get game to pause by making them curious. And one of the best ways I've ever found is to make a sound like this. Which sounds like a small mammal in distress. And whether the thing eats meat or whatever it may be, it's not too effective on zebra, but it'll certainly stop a kudu. Even in full gait, he'll stop and go, what's going on back there? It's really fascinating.
When you can hear them feeding, you know you're close. With a 25-inch ear spread, that bull might go 40 inches, but it has a soft boss that hasn't yet grown together. At some point, you may have to say, I want them to see me and lift their heads so I can get a good look and satisfy myself if there are any bulls in the herd that are worth following.
All right. Doesn't look like there's anything over 40, but I can't see all of them. Their heads down grazing. Let's just walk straight at them. When they pick their heads up, freeze and get a good look.
One's looking right at us right now.
That's okay. Just carry on. Just carry on until they all pick their heads up.
But no good bulls are seen, so it's back to the vehicle.
Right now, Ken, this is your essential cooking area, and the basis of life is this stuff, which, depending upon where you come from, is called posho, it's called sadza, it's called a variety of things in a variety of languages. And essentially what it is simple cornmeal. And you find that this pot, for example, is typical. There's another one behind me here. I have taken more of those pot legs out of buffalo and elephant that have been shot in there by poachers with muzzle loaders as a bullet than you can believe. I used to have a plastic bag full of them.
No wonder buffalo charge when you come after them.
Well, I tell you, you can see why they lose a sense of humor. But
They actually just saw off the legs like here? And
yeah, they just cut them right off. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, the pro feels that these buffalo came through here about 6 or 7 this morning. The silt still has some dark color to it. The broken grass looks like it still has some freshness inside. And if you go over here, you can see some droppings, and it's still fresh. Hasn't covered over too much, so that means that this all occurred today, but obviously that's cold. So everything's okay except the wind's a little irregular. That's our big decision. Sometimes it's blowing this way and sometimes it's blowing that way. Now if it blows toward the buffalo, they're just going to take off, but I think we're going to take a chance. It might be a 3-4 hour hike for nothing, but with the wind kind of blowing this way, they might not smell us, so we'll take off.
When you take a shot at a buffalo, you never know exactly which way he's going to be standing. And there are a couple of rules you must bear in mind. One is, if possible, try and break his shoulders. I happen to like the spine shot because I've shot a lot of buffalo and I know exactly where it lies, and I know the anatomy of a buffalo better than on my own. However, if you can break bone, you're in good shape because you're going to slow him up and discourage him, although a buffalo can come half again as fast on 3 legs as he can on 4.
If a wise old bull or cow senses danger and runs off, it will take the rest of the herd with it. Each time this happens, it could take a considerable time to again make a careful and nerve-wracking stalk up to the herd for another look. When the trophy is finally spotted within clear shooting range, the hunter may only have 3 seconds to raise his rifle, find the kill zone in his scope, steady the crosshairs, and squeeze the trigger.
Take it.
One of the especially tricky things about buffalo is that if you wound one, even fatally, they will tend to stick with the herd. Now, the dust of the herd will cover the blood spoor, for one thing, and number 2 is that they will run for the thickest cover they can possibly find this side of the equator, which is the wrong side to you. Having done this, there is a great tendency among hunters who see a dim outline in the bush to shoot the wrong one, and then you turn around to shake hands with your professional hunter for a job well done and find about 2 tons of very interesting pastime coming down on you at about 35 miles an hour. Now I say 2 tons, even though a buffalo only weighs 1 ton for a big bull. He may very well bring a buddy along to the festivities.
Get ready to put another shot into him. All right, let's move around him slowly and make sure he's dead.
A saying that you will hear in Africa is, "It's the dead ones that kill you." Most pros don't want their clients to take any chances with a buffalo that is not dead.
Not dead. In through here? No clue. Now he's dead. Yeah, he's a typical old bull. He's what you can expect nowadays. He's a 40 plus, exceptionally nice boss, hard, solid boss. Probably go, what, 17, 18? He's still got some hooks on him. He hasn't worn his hooks down. He got some nice points.
What's all this yellow stuff on here?
That's where he's been rubbing against the Pawnee scrub. You know, when we were following him, we could see the bushes shaking. We could often hear them.
Now, did the wind catch us a couple times, or they just see us?
Now, the wind was a problem early. You know, when we first started out, it was changing, and as we walked into that one lone bull that it was off to the side of the herd, and if you remember, the wind had changed, and he didn't really know where we were. He smelt us. He came charging out of the bushes at us, and probably saw us at about 10 yards and veered off. Now, if that bull had been, wounded or hurt, we may have had a problem on our hands. But he normally, in a herd situation, they'll leave you alone.
So as it turned out with that wind, it wasn't really swirling, but it kept changing directions, and we had to keep getting to the side of them downwind.
Exactly.
And they kept going in tighter circle.
They were in the terminalia to begin with, which is the thicker bush with the tall grass. And it was tough to get up on them. We got up, within 40 yards of them a couple of times, but still couldn't really pick out, the one we wanted. We saw some of the older bulls hanging at the back, and then some of the cows and calves. The rest of the herd of about 60, 70 animals, this was the only real trophy in the lot.
For decades, Roland Ward based its record book entries on either of 2 single measurements, either the greatest spread or the length of the longest horn on the front edge. The problem was that the book could be made with old bulls which had their hooks completely worn off and only had spread, or it could be made by cows with their typically narrow bosses. The Safari Club measures the tip-to-tip length of the horns across the forehead, which gives credit to the spread, drop, and hooks, plus the width of both bosses, which credits old bulls. To improve its measuring system, Roland Ward, for its 20th edition in 1986, combined the spread and the length of the longer horn and the width of the wider boss. This bull will score about 114 for SCI, and 100 makes the book. And it will score about 96 for Roland Ward, and 91 is the minimum. After the pictures, the trackers, Ati and Katila, field dress the buffalo and walk back in order to drive the hunting vehicle in. Because of the distance and the difficulty of driving through foliage, Ken and Jeff have a 2-hour wait. If everyone walked back to the vehicle, all that would be left after those 2 hours would be skin and bones. Thanks to a strong winch, the camp skinner will have about 1,500 pounds of buffalo to work with, and not one scrap of meat will be wasted.
Africa doesn't waste any protein. Everything eats everything else, from the lowest form of life to the highest. It's really a continued proof that Africa still is in the interglacial ice age, which went through North America some 10 to 30,000 years ago.
Hey, there he is.
Okay.
Thought we'd bring the whole thing back.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
He's nice. Oh, he's super boss.
Yeah, he has a good boss and average spread. But,
Oh, he'll go 40.
Yeah.
Sure. Tell me the story.
Well, we followed him for about 6 miles. We got on the track, off the road, and we followed through the soft sand.
Was he alone?
No, he was in a herd of about 50 or 60.
Uh-huh.
And he was the lead bull. But the wind kept changing, not shifting, but
Yeah.
changing, you know. And it would take 5 minutes, it would change one way, 5 minutes change the other way. And we had kept having to go around in a circle, so we didn't give them the wind. And they kept going in a small circle, and we kept going in a big circle. You know how that works. So
Yeah.
we had to work twice as hard as the buffalo.
You said that again.
We finally got up on him, and he was in a clearing. They all came through, and Jeff said, "Take him." Nailed him. There's 2 shots here.
Yeah, the
And,
one here and the one here.
Yeah. So nailed him somewhere on the shoulder neck area.
Either one of those should have put him down, but they get so full of adrenaline.
He was full of adrenaline because he joined the herd, and we had to track him for half a mile or 3/4 of a mile, seeing blood drops just here and there because, you know, using solids, they don't open up, and there wasn't much blood to follow. But one of the trackers finally spotted him off about 150 yards, so we closed within 50 yards, and another one, he stayed down.
How about that?
How'd you do today?
We had another one of those classic capstick days where Norman, you know, shaking the buffalo out of the trees. Now, we found a big lone bull, chased it around for about 12 miles, and it just wouldn't stop. And so we just had to finally abandon things because we didn't have any water with us. And it was starting to heat up pretty well, and it was very humid because it had been raining.
So just another hard day at the office.
Another
huh?
hard day at the office.
Well, come on, let me get you a drink in the
Hey,
mess, and I'll
listen,
tell
let
you
me
about
get
it.
you one.
Okay.
With both buffalo and elephant, I've had an odd circumstance which I would advise you of, just sort of a little tip. If the buffalo is out of sight, you stop shooting at him, take the lowest rounds in the magazine of your rifle and swap them for fresh rounds in the bottom. I'll tell you why. It's because the recoil of even a .375, which is quite moderate compared to a .458 or any of the big Nitro Express calibers, will give you what's called bullet compression. In other words, it drives the bullet itself back into the cartridge case, which gives a much different rate of compression of the powder charge when it goes off, and can give a very erratic shot. So don't, if you get into a mano, hand-to-hand with buffalo, and have a chance to reload, move up those lower rounds into the top end, so they'll fire first.
Robert Ramajaga, the first black professional hunter in Botswana, will be Capstick's professional hunter today, and he has brought good luck with him.
I think the little chest shot would be the best if he's facing us, and I'll just take him in the center of the shoulder if he's sideways.
Mm-hmm.
We get the heart, we get the lungs,
Mm-hmm.
we get the top of it, we get the big
And
artery.
leg.
Yeah, and break the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
Yeah.
Let's go get him. These buffalo, it's quite a big herd. Pick up the spoor. They're bellowing just over here. They've watered this pan right here. So we'll Not probably have a very long walk. It's a matter of picking out a good one. If we get lucky. Right over here. You can do them snorting. Tree. Oh, if I take him offhand, that distance, I can only see his nose and his head. Potential charge. We've just come 6 miles, mostly to run. After a big herd of buffalo. We had 3 chances. But all of them had such a high possibility of a wounded buffalo in this immensely thick cover that it just wasn't worth it. You're out here in this broiling, broiling sun. You've got to break for water. So we're just going to take a break and then get back after it. Got him. That should be right in the boiler room. He's down. I think we pay the insurance. That's ours. Look at the strength and power of these bloody buffalo. That bullet hole is right in the center of the shoulder. It had to take out all the big arteries leading into his heart. It probably took the frontal portion of his lungs and heaven knows what else. Unbelievable. There's just no description of what it's like to take a A Cape buffalo, this time of year, this is early spring, as you can see the complete foliage still in the trees, when you can't see them, but they can see you. I've got a little burst of adrenaline going here. He's a nice bull. He's a very nice bull. But can you imagine going on with 2 bullet holes here? Well, one was a finishing shot, but this is the first shot right here, I'm positive. It's exactly where I wanted it to be. We've come so far today, but that's what places value on something, is how much you pay for it, and blood, your own. This man's name is White, and he is the, as I said, the head skinner. It's a very, very important job because on safari, trophies that are badly handled obviously are of no good, no value to the clients. And it's his job to take care of things. Now he's shown us here a very interesting thing. This is the heart of the buffalo that we shot yesterday. And the bullet went right through the middle. Actually, it came through this side, this hole right here, and blew that hole out the other side with the .375. Yet that buffalo went 200 meters. Ah, incredible. I personally believe that an animal that is worth taking the life of, to enshrine as part of your own life, of a memory of something done properly, correctly, and ethically, is worth respecting. I believe hunting is a moral thing if done correctly, and if done morally, and there's a hard way to do it, and there's an easy way to do it. Now, it's the same idea as rock climbing. The object isn't to fall off the mountain, the object is to reach the top. And the same way it is with hunting. The object is not necessarily to kill the animal, it is to hunt him honorably, on his terms, and in the case of dangerous game, at considerable risk.
Available separately. Join Peter Hathaway Capstick, the best-selling hunting author in the world, in Hunting the African Lion.
I don't think there's anything probably more dangerous in the world to hunt under bush conditions such as we have here.
You're tracking a predator over whom your high-powered rifle does not give you that great an edge.
And of course a successful case of man-eating, which has gone unwitnessed, by definition leaves no evidence. So a lot more people are killed than we think there are. Given the slightest opportunity at a foul up on your part, in heavy cover, or even in the open, and he's going to take you.
And then get turned on to a safari in Bostwana Safari. When a safari is over, it's never really over because your mind won't let you forget. The memories stay with you forever, and you want to go back and back. Contact your dealer or Sportsman on Film for a free brochure. For entertainment and education, Sportsman on Film provides the excitement, the action, and the information.